Are we filming? Yes, we are. And that is how I introduce most of my videos. And I'm very, very glad to be filming today because after 7 weeks of planning and a month of moving things backwards and forwards, and also 7 weeks of logistics, emailing and writing notes and planning, etc. I'm finally in a new studio in another country. I just want to say thank you for bearing with me, because it has been a struggle, not mentally but physically. It has taken its toll, and I need a haircut and a shave. But I was so keen to get back into the filming, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get on with it. So let me tell you, and this relates to the title of this video, how I managed, and this is the crucial bit, how I managed my entire move using 2 filofaxes. Or in this case, I've got one personal size filofax, which is my Guildford Mini Extra Slim, which despite its problems with the leather is one of my favourite binders in personal size. And then most of the time, I think 99% of the time, I've had a mini sized, which is, this one's a plotter. But I could equally have been using any one of a number of mini size binders from many brands, including Filofax. But this has been very good. This has been very, very good. I thought I'd start with this one because on social media there have been a few people who wanted to know, who may not be aware of what I'm doing and how I roll the dice here. I've used all sorts of things. I've even used. Let me just get it. Okay. Clipboards, holding a whole bunch of A4 paper. I can't show you anything, sadly, but let me just put that down. So I have in this move used everything from mini size to A4. Not very much. This is not very much. This is really for when I get something out of the filing cabinet and I am adding stuff. So I get the sheet out of the filing cabinet, add it to the list, and then put it back in the filing cabinet. Mainly records of telephone conversations, because it's simply not feasible to have it in this format. This is like a format that's so portable, as we know and love. The system that's been available to us, well, those of us that are old enough to remember, all the way back to 1910. This format, this personal size paper, which is my favourite size, it's the one that I'm drawn to all the time, despite in a kind of nerdy way trying different things. But someone said, what have you been using on social media? What have you been doing, and what are your plans for the coming year? Because many of us are buying our diary inserts for the coming year that have been typically available, certainly from the Filofax brands. They've been available since about April, I believe. Other brands make them available from the get-go, from the January, the previous year, so that you have a genuine 12 months of inserts. But that's another story. But I just thought I would combine this first video in a new studio in another country with what I am doing, and why I like this so much, why I like this system so much, and why it has served me well over the last 7 weeks. And probably I've been planning this for about a year, but I wasn't sure when I was going to move. But then I got the go ahead, and the move was, I mean, I have, obviously I'm doing other things, you know, but what I have done is I've tried to do, I've tried to release at least one video a week, typically on a Saturday, as you know, for the last few weeks. But now I'll be stepping up a gear and making more. I came in here with a coffee, and this is a bit of a rambling thing. So I think what I might do is make a shorter version if I can. But I know some of you like me to get to the point, and other people like me to ramble. So this is definitely a ramble, I think. We're up to 6 minutes. I haven't really done much at all. But let me give you some rope here, and I'll ramble. So I have been working on this room. I can't show you everything, but if you're a channel member, I will give you a sneak peek, kind of behind the scenes video within a few days. But I wanted something that was flexible. I could use a table, I could stand up, I could sit on a chair. I'm actually sitting in one of my favourite Regency chairs, which is I've had it reupholstered. I've got a pair of these. They're about 200 years old, very, very comfortable. So thank you to the original craftsman who made these. But I have been agonising over this, particularly like everybody has a backdrop. Everybody, and I'm diverting here, I know, but everybody has a backdrop. And I've got several backdrops in this room, but I quite like this one. I'll just explain about this. These drawers I've had since I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 60s now, so a long time. I bought them from a bicycle repair shop that was closing. And in their time, they have had all sorts of things in here. But it's like a chest of many, it's a chest of many drawers. Let me show you these. So you've got these slots, and you've got these pieces of wood. So you've got these dividers, so you can customize your space. And given the fact that I'm sort of fairly old school, and the fact I do own many things. I used to be an antiques dealer until I retired due to ill health about a few years ago. I just like this. I just like this as a backdrop because I've got a bit more space in here. This studio, such as it is, it's a private apartment, not a commercial place. And I just thought this would add some interest, and I might change it around. Those of you that are channel members, you'll get to see the whole room. But yeah, so there we go. Because I know people will ask me in the comments, hey, what are those drawers? And one or two people no doubt say, look at these brass nameplates here. Isn't that fantastic? And they are absolutely fantastic. So I just thought it'd be interesting. And I am actually not using studio lights at the moment because I haven't set them up. I'm just sitting by the window. And I can hear a road because I'm in a town rather than a village. I'm just gonna blow my nose. Don't go away. Don't go away. It's partly because of all the dust with moving. No matter how much you dust, some dust always remains. And I have been sorting out hundreds and hundreds of boxes and bags of stuff because I just have too much stuff and I'm downsizing. So I had to be very circumspect about what I kept. I've donated at least a metric ton of stuff to charitable causes, and I've sold quite a bit, and I've disposed of a lot of stuff, but I still have a huge amount of stuff. But I just quite like this behind me. So there we go. To answer to satisfy those of you that are curious about this. But let me return to how I managed my whole move with, shall we say, 2 filofaxes, because we know what the reason I'm referring to filofaxes is because everybody knows what a filofax is, because they are the brand leader. Not everybody knows what a plotter is. So that's the title, and I could quite conceivably have used a Guildford Mini Extra Slim instead of this. It's perfect flatability, but I just like this. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the plotter because I've done too much of that recently. And for those of you who are regular viewers, I have something very exciting coming up very soon. It's not a plotter, but I'll say no more. I'm very excited to review that product. But what have I been doing in here? What have I done? How have I used this rather than use an app like Google Calendar or Apple's Calendar? What I have done is, and this is the reason why I used 2. This is a diary, and it's a day to a page. And what I'll do is I'll just show you what I've done, just as a reminder. This is one page. It's Sunday the 6th of October. Unbelievably, I've got nothing planned for that Sunday. And basically I divide it like this, and the reason I divide it into this many squares is because it lines up with the rings on this 5-ring binder. So it looks very neat and tidy, and I don't have to get a ruler to do it. And I just do them longhand, very fast. And then the top 4 are appointments, and then the remaining 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, are things that I have to remind myself specifically on that day. I've got a to-do list in here as well. But it is something that works for me in any format. Now, I have tried this in personal format as well as mini format. It would work with pocket format. And this is my day to a page diary. And the reason why I choose this format, other than a format that are branded inserts, say from Filofax, for instance, is, how do I put this? If you go onto the Filofax website right now and have a look at images of their day to a page for mini size, I don't want to be disingenuous to Filofax, because some people like having lots and lots of information. They have a calendar on every page. They have all sorts of stuff, helpful stuff. The lunar cycle, for instance. They will tell you what week of the year it is. So all sorts of stuff which some people prefer. I don't prefer that. I prefer maximum real estate for the given size of paper. And so I prefer this. And also the other thing, and let me tell you this, I did try. I really did try it. I go through phases of trying different things, as you would expect from someone that has a channel talking about paper-based productivity. earlier this year, I did try. I tried, for instance, Filofax branded week on 2 pages in pocket size that I then fitted in the in the mini size binder. Try that; it works very well. Also, personal size week on 2 pages, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work because the for me personally, my own opinion, it was too cluttered and too restrictive. And the biggest issue was the fact that I had and I've mentioned this before, but I went to a friend's funeral in January, met up with some people I haven't seen for a while. And you know what happens at a funeral or a wedding, but this was a funeral. I said, let's meet up at some point in the future. Oh, someone's trying to contact me. And I couldn't do it because the following year, next year's diary was not going to be available from Filofax until about April. What do? Do you make a mental note? Do you add it to your digital calendar? Do you roughly write a note and remember to add that to your diary when you can finally get a hold of the inserts? And I just thought to myself, well, I quite like the Filofax paper because it's sort of very, very, considering how thin it is. They have a coating on it that's really, really good quality, and there's very little bleed through. It's sort of fountain pen friendly is the term. And I like it. I like that paper very much. But you can't get hold of next year's diary until you're already 3 months into the current year. So you can't plan ahead 12 months. You can only plan ahead 9 months plus 3 months of additional notes. And I just thought to myself at the time, no, what am I doing? Neil, what are you doing? You're trying, you're deciding to give printed inserts a go, and yet you're a fool because you forgot. I mean, it has improved. There was a time not so long ago where you couldn't get hold of next year's inserts until August or September. So that things have improved. And I know that it's not really too much of an imposition to write things down, and then add them at some point. But it's just messy. And okay, I don't really have to plan that far ahead with the exception of certain circumstances like this sad occasion of the funeral of my friend back in January this year. But if you were, say, a wedding planner working 2 or 3 years in advance, what do you do? You would have to make your own, print your own, I guess, or find a company that printed that far ahead. But Filofax do not do that. The Filofax company, brand, if you like, they don't do that. Now, I understand that because it would require a lot of shelf space, wouldn't it? And shelf space is money. So I understand that. It's a trade-off, isn't it? And also, you know, how many do you print? What is your demands? What is your anticipated demands? You know, a larger print run is cheaper for them, no doubt. But it is a bit of a mess. And then as far as I'm concerned, and then there's this issue with the QR codes, and I've kept an eye on this, and there's a sizable number of us who do not like the QR codes, and there are 2 ways out of it. You can potentially buy, I think what they're calling it is the classic option, where it's QR code free. The QR code appears on every day and uses up a lot of space on personal size. I think pocket size and mini size, you don't have the QR codes, but I may be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong at any time. I am gracious enough to accept that I'm wrong. So leave a note in the comments. But, and of course, things might change. I mean, you may be watching this 5 years after I've recorded it. It's still valid, but talking about things like QR codes may not be valid. It may be the case in 5 years' time, and I know I'm rambling, but bear with me. It may be the case in 5 years' time that the Filofax brand have decided that QR codes are not very popular, and their sales are falling, and they might be sitting around the board table right now, saying, "Oh, what should we do about this? It hasn't really worked," or they might be celebrating themselves and enjoying an orgy of self-congratulation and patting themselves on the back and saying that it's actually worked very well. I don't know. I'm not privy to that, but time will tell. But certainly, it's obviously going to depend on when you watch this. You might be watching this in 100 years' time, and you're saying, "What are QR codes? What are QR codes?" Oh yes, I remember reading about that years and years ago. Or they may be prevalent. We may have QR codes imprinted on our foreheads so that scanners can tell everything about us. Who knows? Who knows? In the future, it might be a dystopian world where we're not allowed to use paper, blank sheets of paper. We must buy pre-printed paper. Anyway, I'm going into a flight of fancy here. So let me pull it back, Neil. Pull it back. Right, so this whole concept of using two binders, I'm going to call them binders, for this move. This works really, really well for me. This worked really, really well. There was let me get something else, because there was something else as well. Oh, wrong drawer. Okay, so where is it? Okay. Okay. Right. Oh, that was a good sign effect of a filing cabinet, wasn't it? Okay, so in here is are some A4 sheets. Let me give you a reason why you need something to carry A4, at least here in the UK. So in my backpack, as I was travelling around, hiring vans and skips, you'll have to Google a skip if you don't know what a skip is. A skip is like a metal container that arrives on your driveway, huge metal container, typically 6 cubic yards. Where you can fill it with rubbish and then they take it away. Let me know what you call these skips in your country, particularly the US. I'm interested in whether you have a similar system there. But I have this clipboard for telephone conversations in my office / kitchen. But when I'm out and about, I am carrying a folder, an A4 folder, and in here is, as an example, I qualify. I'm old enough in this country to qualify for a bus pass, which entitles me for free buses. I mean, fantastic, isn't it? But they want lots of ID, proof of utility bills, and your birth certificate or your passport. Now, I don't have a passport because I've never had a passport because I've never been abroad. I'm in Wales, by the way. I'm in another country, Wales, but you don't need a passport. It's part of the United Kingdom, so we've got England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Don't need a passport. So I've been carrying around my birth certificate and some sample utility bills and quite a lot of other stuff, which is given to me in A4 format that won't fit in here. I mean, it would, you could fold it, but it's not really doable. So effectively, this is my main planning system, but I do need a folder which I carry in my backpack that has enough paperwork in there to facilitate these logistical manoeuvres. For instance, when you get a receipt from, say, the van hire, I've hired 4 or 5 vans. All the paperwork comes in A4 size generally from companies. So this is really, really handy. But the main thing is what is in here. Well, one of the things that I haven't tried recently, but you probably have, but I'm late to the party, as it were. I've just printed this out again and put it in here to pretend that this is my pull-out week at a glance. And you see you've got 7 columns there. I've done a video showing how I do these. These are this somewhat serendipitously. This size is created on my printer anyway, my A4 printer, by just selecting A5, and it comes out like this. And I just trim it with a pair of scissors, and it's the perfect size for a mini binder. So I really, really like that. So I have had one of these for each of these last 7 weeks, and I don't normally have appointments scheduled, but in this particular case, because I have 24 lines here, that I do fit them in the schedule. And I'll tell you what, my longest day from getting up and getting up and starting work and going to sleep again was 28 hours, where I was at the new place here and I had to go and hire a van from here, drive back to England, load up, and because I've got problems with mobility, loading, even with help, it takes some time because of not being able to position the van close enough to the door of the property. So on that day, it took, it's a 4-hour drive, and then there's another 4-hour drive, and to load up took, I think, 4 hours, and then to unload took 8 hours, and then I had to give the van back with half an hour to spare. I hired it for 24 hours. So that was the longest day. And so I had to plan it very, very carefully to add a little contingency here and there for traffic and an alternative route, etc. And I had to work out, could this particular day be done with a van for 24 hours? Why did it take 28 hours? Because when I got here, I still had stuff outside, and I just abandoned it, and I returned the van. So that particular day was a full-on day that was actually slightly longer than 24 hours working. That's not something I want to do every day, but it had to be done. So the pull-out, this pull-out section, I find I'm actually going to use it in the future. Just have a few of these in here. I have the pages are day to a page, a diary's day to a page, and I've got about 80 sheets in here. 80 sheets of, you guessed it, 50 GSM Clairefontaine paper. which I absolutely love. It's my favourite paper for this kind of activity, and I might not be able to do it immediately, but I'll leave a link in the description for the Clairefontaine paper. At least in the UK, A4 Clairefontaine paper is available. More difficult elsewhere, but it's cheap, it's good quality, and 50 GSM works for me with this kind of transitory, temporary system, because I'm not going to keep these pages forever like I would a journal, but I will keep them in another binder. But that's how I archive this stuff is for another day. But 50 GSM, this Clairefontaine paper will still be around long after I've gone, and then people, my descendants, would probably chuck it away, would put it through the shredder or burn it or something. But this system, because it could be fitted in my pocket, works for me personally very, very well. And the difference in real estate between a blank page of paper I've cut down from an A4 to fit in here, compared to, say, a data page inserts for a well-known brand, are two things. One is, excuse me. One is you've got maybe 3 or 4 times the real estate. Seriously, you compare it. Have a look at the Filofax website, and it's got all that information on each page, data a page, which is what some people like. I do appreciate that. But if you just want something, you're not interested in lunar cycles, you don't want to be reminded that the brand, every page has got the Filofax brand, which is kind of nice in a way, kind of cute, but it just takes up more space. But data a page, homebrew, cut it down, works for me, works really, really well. And the other thing, although this isn't the Filofax brand's fault, inevitably you pay a premium for having your paper printed, your insets printed and cut and hole punched. If you're wealthy, then it doesn't make any difference. But if you are not wealthy, and the difference between paying, I think, about 7 or 8 pence per page, per sheet, compared to, I'm just trying to work it out. Well, each page is, I've just bought another 1,000 sheets for £15. So if you then take each sheet and cut it into 8, you do the maths. I mean the difference is of an order of magnitude in terms of price differential. So the price is worth thinking about. And the other thing, the other reason why I use Clairefontaine paper, if I can, is because it's made in France, which is not that far away from here. And so I'm guessing that the carbon footprint of this paper is substantially less than paper made in the Far East and shipped over here. I'm sure it's not much of a difference, but it probably, unless someone can show me that it doesn't make a difference. If it does make a difference, then it's a happy set of circumstances that I live in the UK and France is just across the channel. So that's what this is for. And then this one, and we're just up to 34 minutes, so I'm finally talking about what's in here. I love personal size. It's my favourite size. I started using personal size back in 1993, which is a long time ago now. And I've been using it more or less every single day since 1993. But crucially, not necessarily as a diary or a planner, but as a database. So in here, I have got in alphabetical order. I have got a whole list of. I've got a page, sometimes several pages for each subject. So in here, typically you've got 11mm rings. You've got 11mm rings in here. So you can have, or at least I can do with this 50 GSM Clairefontaine paper, 80 sheets. 80 sheets for me is enough. Now, this is an interesting thing. So it did at one point get to the point where I needed another one of these. So I just changed from here into my Filofax Heritage, which has larger rings than I bought earlier on this year. I love the format. But I don't like the quality of the rings. And I've just kept it. One commentator said I'm taking a hit for the team, which I think I am, to basically do a long-term review of the Filofax Heritage, see how it stacks up. But right now I'm not using it at all, because what I found was I started off 7 weeks ago with the Filofax Heritage, but I couldn't justify there being so much paper in there. So I switched to this one, the Guildford Personal Slimline. And that was fine. And then I got to the point halfway through the move, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I had more than 80 sheets. And so I took them all out of here and put them back in the the Filofax Heritage, which has, I believe, 16mm rings, but it depending on where you look and how you measure, it's either 15, 16 or 17. But then when things calmed down a bit, then I moved back into here. And this is a concept. This is a concept that I will discuss further. And the concept is, and it's the beauty of this kind of binder, a ring binder like this. There are, perhaps more so than any other size, personal, A5, A4, pocket, mini, you've got more options in ring diameter, ring size, in the personal size format than any other. So this is 8mm. I believe you can get, this is 11mm. I believe you can go as small as 8mm, but I've not come across one of those. So this is 11mm. I then expanded to 16mm, worked well. Then was able to go back to 11mm. And if I needed a project that would expand further, then I could go to either perhaps a 23mm personal size, or I could use more than one binder. So I could carry, for instance, 2 of these 11mm binders, which roughly would give me the same capacity as a standard 23mm size personal binder. So what I have appreciated and learned to appreciate more over this 7-week period is that the versatility of being able to have either 2 binders or a larger rings binder. And this is kind of the thing. I mean, it's not like a revelation, but it is just a statement of fact, isn't it? And I'm sharing my personal opinion. For other people, their mileage will vary. But as we know, there are people, including myself, whose needs will vary over time. You cannot go into a store and say, right, I'm going to buy that Filofax Norfolk, and I believe it has I don't know whether it's got a 30mm rings, but you ladies will probably be able to advise me about that. So let's say, for the sake of argument, it has rings of a certain size, and then someone else wanted to ring me. There's this agony. You have to make a decision, don't you? It's a very common decision. What size rings would work? If you have rings that are too big, it's very bulky to carry around in your bag or your jacket pocket, you know. You wouldn't really be able to carry a personal size Filofax Norfolk in a jacket pocket unless you got Filofax Norfolk size pockets. But you could carry this, which is designs. I believe this format back in 2010 was specifically designed to fit a pocket, so that they could, in a boiler suit pocket, so you could slip it in, take this for engineers basically, who would decant from something similar to this. And that's why I quite like this, because it reminds me of the early pictures of Filofax sales literature, showing some chap in a jacket of the time and the brill creamed hair and these incredibly wide lapels, decanting from something like this into a binder with similar dimensions to this. And I quite like that. I quite like that synergy there. But this is kind of my final thought, because we're up to 41 minutes chatting about this. If you adopt a policy, and I've mentioned it once or twice, and some people have said, no, I want everything in one place. Everything in one place. It must be all in one binder. Well, I would say that for me, having those two binders there means everything's in one place. Having this and these in my backpack means everything's in one place. Having my clipboard, not that I'm taking the clipboard out, but if I had this in my backpack and carried these, if I had them in the car or my studio or a backpack, everything would be in one place. So for me, I do understand. For many years, I did have everything in one place in a personal size Filofax Sherwood, which I still have and use every day. And I've had it for over 30 years. So I do understand how the aesthetics, particularly the aesthetics of having everything in one place, and you are choosing. It's a personal binder, but it's your own personal taste, how you set up that binder with dividers and tabs so that it is perfect for you. And I understand that. I totally get that. But for me, I certainly, with this project, this 7-week moving house project, I have absolutely appreciated the versatility of this invention, this repositionable binder system that we all have come to know and love. And the takeaway thing that I have, the two takeaways for me is, one, separating this data, if you like, an alphabetical list of information at your fingertips. This is a file of facts. No disrespect to the brands, but this is, for me, absolutely a file of facts. And this is my diary. You can't use this without this, and you certainly can't use this without this. But do you know what? Together, in these two formats, personal size for data and not slimline, well, it is kind of a slimline, isn't it? Mini size as a diary that you can have in your pocket and just get out and have a look what you're doing, etc. Write some notes which you can then subsequently go into here. This is like, I guess this is the mothership, and this is the landing craft. I don't know. Who knows? But this works together, and this is everything in one place, even though it's two binders. And my final, not message, because this is my opinion. The final thing is, I mean, I'm on this road of discovery all the time, and trying different formats and sizes and ways of noting things down and systems, and see if I can keep within this paper-based productivity world, which works for me, is the fact that I am very, very comfortable now at the concept of having a database that will expand according to my needs. I don't need to agonize over having a ring size that will be too much at the moment, but it may not be enough in the future. I can expand and contract simply by swapping the binder, or carrying more than one of these, and then spreads that alphabetical list of sheets across two binders, or even three. You know, they work very, very well. A bit like, I mean, we've all, as when we were young, perhaps used the pre-internet age. For those of us a certain age, you could buy on mail order the Britannia Encyclopedia, and it came in like 50 volumes, and you'd have to pay for it by instalments. This is almost like an encyclopedia of knowledge, which can expand from one volume into two volumes, into three, into 10. You never know. Certainly, it's a good excuse to buy more filofaxes, and you cannot have too many filofaxes. That's true. So, those are my experiences, covering quite a lot of rambling. But I hope you've enjoyed my chat, and I wanted to have a sort of rambling chat in here as my first in the new studio. And if you're still watching, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and until my next video, goodbye.